This time on Low Boost, we're putting a Crossmember on our 1966 Mustang that'll match up to our AOD automatic transmission. All right, so next up, we got the transmission in, we got the engine in. We're gonna start bolting stuff on, but the transmission is still not mounted to the frame. And this transmission did not come in a 1966 Mustang. It's much better. It's out of a Fox body Mustang or a Thunderbird or a Crown Victoria. So you have to have a different transmission brace to mount it up. Now you can make one yourself. It'll take a lot of time welding it, or you can spend a little money and get the right thing and do it once. So this is a proper transmission mount that will mount our Mustang, will mount the transmission, the AOD, up to the Mustang. Now, it comes with some brackets and stuff like that. I have the original fasteners underneath the car. I'll put a link to this in the description below if you're looking to do an AOD swap into your 1966 Mustang. I think it's 64 to 66. That's the same ones for these. Apologies if I don't show in this video the actual removal of the old transmission, because we did that a while ago. But when you do that, make sure you keep all of your nuts and bolts intact, because the bracket is not going to come with all the stuff you're going to need. And if your stuff is in decent shape, you can reuse it. So this is the original grommet. And that will go right on there. Then we have washers that came on the original Crossmember and nuts. And that'll go there. And then once that goes on, this new bracket here basically sits where the old one was, like that. And this will flat go right over top. And then we are going to use these two bolts here to go into the transmission Crossmember itself. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we have our bolts here that will actually go through. These are it. These are the bolts here that go through either side and hold the transmission to the actual frame itself. So let's go underneath the car and put it together. All right, first word of advice would be to actually do this on a lift, but because we're working on a bunch of stuff on the engine and we have my dad's F100 on the lift, we're doing it under the car. Fortunately, the Mustang is kind of off the ground enough that I bet you I could almost drop this transmission from underneath it. It's just a pain in the butt. So I put the bolts on first. They're loose. They're very loose because when I put everything else on, that's going to be the difficult part to get it all when I jack it all up. So that on first, and then I'll do the Crossmember and see where we go from there. All right, so after I did that, I got the bracket on, but the transmission is actually a little bit over that way. So I got to push it this way and then jack it up. It's going to be hard to do on camera. That's the bracket. All right, so everything is still on pretty loose. However, I fed the bolt on that side, and now I will try to jack it up a little more here until I get that bolt lined up. I'm gonna try to feed that in. This is hard to do just myself, so I apologize if I'm not doing a full-on play-by-play. But looks like I need a little more help on the other side. All right, so it's all on. The whole mount is on. Like I said, it would be a lot easier to do on a lift. A lot easier to do with a buddy, but it's just me today. You definitely want to make sure these are just on loose like this, because if you tighten them all on, it's going to be a real pain. If you tighten them up all the way, it's going to be a pain to get it lined up. The top ones I ended up not just putting a little loose, just like they could get a little wiggle, but I wanted them to sit as high as possible so everything would fit on there. So now that's there. Here, I'll tighten these up, and then I'm going to tighten the ones up that are actually on the car itself. I'll have to do that off camera because I'm going to need two hands for that one. But once, definite trick of the trade here, just don't tighten them up all the way at first. All right, so the Crossmember is on. Now we gotta get to doing everything else with the car. Making sure the drive shaft matches up correctly and getting that adjusted. Also the fuel system and everything else. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, make sure you hit the subscribe button because I got a ton of videos we're doing on the Mustang. On top of that, under this car cover is my dad's 1967 Chevelle Malibu. And we are doing a full resto mod restoration on this 1953 Ford F100 pickup truck. This is getting actually FiTech EFI. So if you're into that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.